Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Digital Nomad World weekly series. I'm Becky, and I'll be your host. And today I'm here with Mary Grace Nguyen, and we're going to talk about how to win on LinkedIn. Mary, welcome to the show.
I'm so glad to be here, Becky. I'm feeling good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, and I'm so glad
Yeah.
that you're here with us too, because I know you've had a lot of experience with LinkedIn, and I think what you have to say is going to be very valuable to our viewers. But first of all,
Mm.
Mary, let's hear about your background as a digital nomad. How did you get started? And can you tell us more about yourself?
Okay, so I mean, I'd say that I'm not like kind of like brand new to the whole digital nomad thing because I have traveled and I've lived abroad before. Like with me and you, Becky, we know each other because we are both English teachers in Japan. And I was doing that for 2 years. And then I had a stint in New York where I was like a restaurant hostess and a waitress as well, for like 10 months there. So that kind of like travel bug, I had that feeling all the time. And it's just kind of like one of those things. It's like one of those dreams that like everyone wants to become a remote worker, that kind of thing. But then the pandemic happened, learning how to work from home, becoming your own boss, at home. And then unfortunately, my father passed away in 2021. And that basically was my wake up call. One of the last things he said to me before he passed away was just be happy. So that kind of got me triggered to like, you know what? Let's just do it. I've got all these roles right now where I can work from home, but with a good VPN, I can take it wherever I want. So now, based on recommendations from friends, I was recommended Bansko as a great digital nomad hub. And as of this year, I am a owner of a property in Bulgaria, and I go there and I stay there, I work there, but I also travel around the world as well, to different places, and I work remotely.
Congratulations, Mary, on becoming a digital nomad. I actually, yes, I know that your path, I followed you because we are friends. We've known each other actually for a long time. And you became a nomad and you just ran with it. And I've seen you also
Mm.
go to many countries in your first year as a digital nomad. Do you have have you been tracking it? How many countries have you been to in this first
Yeah,
year?
this year I'd say I've been to 10 countries, which is a lot. But
That's
I've
pretty
managed to make it
impressive.
work.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
impressive. Also, like you said, buying a property. So well done. And okay,
Mm.
now that you've been a nomad for over a year, what is one tip you could give to people about being a digital nomad?
I'd say travel light. Travel light. When you start out, it's always going to be like, oh my god, you're like, bringing the suitcase that you'd be like doing if you were like going on a holiday for like 2 weeks in like, I don't know, Cocobongo in like, in Mexico. But then as time goes by, you just learn to kind of like bring in the essentials. And most of the time, digital nomads, we like going to places that are cheap. So you don't need that extra t-shirt or that extra underwear. Just buy it when you get there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about you, but I've always had those moments where I look at my luggage at the end of, the whole time in a new country and I'm like, I didn't even use 25% of this stuff. And that's the first sign that you're packing too heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a great tip, Mary. Okay, now I'm wondering if you could tell me about a funny nomad experience you've had in this first year.
I think you know this one, Becky. So
Oh.
I think you know this one. So in Bansko, they have a Nomad Fest every year. And so this year I went to Nomad Fest and me and you, we went to a Thai curry place. And as you know, there was like lots of nomads there coming together, lots of people from all over the world. Great stuff, we're eating our Thai curry food, we're like, networking, having great conversation. And I come across a guy who's also from England. And I was just
Russell.
like, oh hi, what's your name? He's like, Russell. I was like, oh hi, Russell. He goes, where? And I was like, oh, you're from, the UK? Because yeah, I'm from the UK too. And I was just like, okay, so how long have you been in Bansko? So I've only been here for a few months, but I'm liking it here. It's a good nomad space. I was like, yeah, I've only been there. La, la, la. Come like 20 minutes. He said, Mary, I think that we've met before. It's like, where? He goes, do you remember a time when, and it just turned out he said to me apparently that we met on Match.com. and we had actually gone on a date. The funny thing was, so I think this was a very bizarre thing. It was just kind of like meeting someone as a digital nomad, but then not realizing we had actually met before.
So it
I think
was
that was a
true.
very
You
funny
had met
incident.
before.
We had met before after he went through his emails, put his email address, my email address in there, and it came up as in me saying, "What time are we going to meet?" And it was like, I don't know, 10 years ago.
I actually remember
So
the funny thing too was that a couple of days later, everybody was karaokeing together at a bar in Bonsko, and he was there. We both were there, and then he said, "I remember that I karaokeed with both of you," and that's how I finally remembered that we had met him. And so it's funny. It was 10 years ago when I visited you in London, and it just goes to show you that the nomad world can be very small, and just the world can be small, and maybe more of the people we're meeting out in the world from our past are becoming digital nomads. So
yes,
it was
exactly.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's a great example. Yeah. Oh, wow. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that. Okay, so now I want to talk about LinkedIn. And the first thing so I will tell the viewers as well, I'm actually getting back into LinkedIn and I've hardly ever
Mm,
used it. And so I'm going to ask some questions that I think a lot of people might be thinking when they first get onto the platform. The first question happened to me a few days ago, Mary, and I want your help with this. So, do you
okay.
recommend LinkedIn Premium or only having the basic LinkedIn,
Okay. So
first of all?
I would say, honestly and truly, you don't need it. Okay. You don't need the premium. There's so much you can do just with the free version. Like you have access to creating your profile, looking for jobs, actually connecting with new people, directly messaging people who you don't know that aren't on your networks. You can actually just get in touch with them. You can make the most of it without using the premium. Premium is for people who basically are employees of big corporations, you know? So when you do premium, it's like, it's quite expensive, I'd say. Like sometimes it's like it can be 20, 30, 40, $50 a month. You know, there's different packages, but it's just kind of like, if I'm being honest with you, it's just so that they feel that they're getting the most of LinkedIn. But I don't think you need it at all, because I think every 2 months you'll get a notification from LinkedIn saying you have 2 weeks of free trial of the premium version. So they actually encourage you to use the premium for free. And then that's their incentive to be like, okay, so you kind of liked it. So do you want to try it? So that's my answer.
Okay, that's good to know because I'm sticking with the basics so far. How long have you been on LinkedIn, Mary?
Okay, so I had to calculate this. So I was an IT recruitment consultant, and this was basically the first reason I had for using LinkedIn, because with recruitment, LinkedIn is basically, I don't know, a directory like for everyone who has a business, right? So I'd say it was actually, LinkedIn was founded in 2002. So I
Mhm.
started using it in 2012. So, and I'm still using it now, and it's 2022. And
Yeah.
if I can tell you like how LinkedIn has drastically changed, I mean, it's become much more of a social place. Like it's got like things that you can do, like posting, social media posting, creating content. But when it first started, it was literally just profiles. It was literally just people's, CVs, kind of like their achievements, and then you can just directly message them. But now we've got more visibility. People can actually write stuff and build a brand by producing content.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you like what some of the unique features that LinkedIn has that really make it worthwhile to add to your list of all the social media platforms that you use.
Okay, so I'd say that it's really good for um like increasing and expanding your network, definitely. So when you create your profile, LinkedIn is basically like business, only business. It's very professional. So you put your best like achievements on there. So if you want to, let's say for me, I'm a freelance copywriter, I want to be in the copywriting space. This is amazing for me because I can just put, on a search hashtag copywriters, and it will give me a plethora, a big massive list of people who are copywriters. So it's great for networking because also, like I was saying, you can directly message these people without even having a connection, and just like make friendships or like kind of like business partners just from doing that. And also it's great for, I'd say, looking for jobs, number one. So businesses, like the Amazon sort of Metas or whatever, any organization, they have their own company profile, and they can actually put the job listings on there as well. Some people don't like to go to like their website. People are just like, I don't have time for this. They just like to go to one place where it's just like all day, I just want to use LinkedIn, and it becomes a directory, not just for people and networking. It's also a place for actually looking for jobs. So this is really good for that as well. And also, like me as a business owner as well, I can also create job postings as well. And this week was my first time I actually like was hiring. I actually put an advert on LinkedIn and I used it. And Becky, I was so shocked. Like within an hour, I had like 50 applicants. I had to close it. I had to say that it's not taking any more applicants. It was just so fast. And they were actually quite a good spread of like CVs that I had. And the best part with creating like a job post like that is like I can put a criteria and say things like, I want this person to have 1 year's experience in Instagram, 2 years experience of like LinkedIn, let's say, and LinkedIn will automatically tell me this person isn't a great fit based on my
Okay.
criteria. So it will filter stuff for you. So it's really advanced in that respect compared to when I started using it back in 2012, So
Mm-hmm.
it's really good for that. And also I'd say social media. So building your brand like properly, like, let's say for me, I use LinkedIn for letting people know how great I am as a copywriter. So I will write some kind of like copywriting hacks on there, or I'd give people advice about like, looking for a job, like just writing like content and like, how to do this. And also you see people in your networks doing the same thing, like you say if they're like in HR or if they're in like software engineer, they'll give like little tidbits about life experience or like some advice. But it's a great way for you to engage, like the comments, add some commentary, build that network, because like any social network, it basically works on interaction, how much you're engaging with the content. So the more you do on the platform, the more that you're going to become visible. So yeah, I'd say job posting, creating a profile, a professional profile, creating content, and also hunting for jobs. I think it's really great
Yeah, I
in
love
that
this
respect.
because typically if you go to like, I'm thinking of like monster.com when they had just submit your CV to all of these different companies. I mean, on LinkedIn, you not only can show actual work you've done and some of these articles that you can write, like you're mentioning, but also,
Yeah.
like you said, you can go right to the website and directly message these people and they have to read it. Whereas on those other sites, you don't know if they ever saw your CV. So this is like,
Mm.
those kind of websites squared or, cubed. So I think
Mm.
yeah, definitely you've made a good case for, I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I'm gonna start to get more into LinkedIn. You're already convincing me. So I'm wondering,
Yeah.
because I know how much experience you've had with this platform. Can you give us some examples of how being on LinkedIn gave you opportunities that you would not otherwise have had? Have you gotten any jobs
Okay.
directly from LinkedIn?
So I applied for a job with like a oh yeah. I applied for a job. It was with a company called We Localize. So they're a transcreation company, and what that means is like they work with lots of people all over the world, and it's like translating, English into Italian, Italian into German, all this kind of stuff. And it turned out I applied for this job, and it was basically to create different kind of ways of saying the same thing, but from a British English London dialect, right?
Oh.
And it turned out the actual like client was Amazon. So I was doing work for Amazon's chatbot. And it was pretty crazy because it was me and like, I don't know, I was working with like 50 other people, all British people, and we were all having to like sit down on this Excel spreadsheet, having to figure out 50 ways of saying something like, I want some information about my bank deposit. But as a person who speaks like a Londoner or someone who's from north of England, you know? So that was one job. So like, literally not me thinking I want a job with Amazon. It was me thinking I just want a job. And then it turned out the end client was Amazon, which was really great for me. Another opportunity was when I applied for a job. As what I was doing at the time was my experience was in quality assurance. So quality assurance was like kind of like, the stuff that you see for like trailers or like advertisements you see on buses. So I was quality assuring that the spelling was correct, it was the right legals, it was like, the right show, the right subtitles, all that kind of stuff. So it was a QA role for a YouTube channel agency. And I didn't know at the time that like my manager, 6 months later on would actually love me so much that he would promote me as a YouTube channel manager for 10 YouTube channels.
Wow.
So at that point, what I was doing at first was just looking at videos and just kind of like making recommendations like, oh, this, we could put more content here, we can make more videos more interesting here, or, there's like spelling mistakes in the subtitles. It had moved to me actually managing I think it was like 40 freelancers, and we're talking about script writers, video editors, project managers. It was just, and I was just managing a whole bunch of people, and it was really a lot of fun because I gained a lot of experience from that, and I just loved like kind of learning from them, but also collaborating. And yeah, I think you know finding like kind of random like jobs on LinkedIn, just like kind of like the way that it's set out, like, you can type something like, for me it was QA, but then it came up with this YouTube channel, it just like leads you onto different paths. So it's really good that way, as opposed to, like you say, you go in Monster and you type in like, for example, if I had written quality assurance, it would only give me like QA roles for like kind of like dingy tech companies. But here was like an opportunity for me to actually go, let me just email the CEO and see what he says. And then he just ended up going like, okay, you're hired. Let's start tomorrow. So yeah.
Wow. So you went that route. You saw the ad, you were searching for the job, you saw the ad, and then you directly messaged the CEO of the company?
I applied and then I just directly messaged him, because what's interesting is that with these job posts, depending on like some jobs, like sometimes they don't, sometimes they do, they actually put the person who actually wrote the actual job ad. So you can directly message the person. You
Wow.
can actually see their profile and directly message them. It's a bit kind of like, go that extra step, because the information's there, so why wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Because on Monster you can't do that, right? On Indeed, you can't see who the person is. You can only see the ad, and then you say, oh, send your CV or resume.
You
You're
have
just
no
like,
idea. Yeah, if that ever got
but
seen.
and in LinkedIn, it's like you've got that second option of like, oh, just to let you know, I already applied but here's my CV anyway, in an actual email directed to the person. For them, they will see that as you take an initiative, you
Definitely.
know? Yeah,
Have you?
exactly. And
Oh yeah, go
sorry,
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say there was one opportunity as well that I got, and it was not me applying for a job. It was actually me going through social media feed. Okay. And basically what happened was someone in my network had said, hi, I've got a friend who owns an SEO agency and they're looking for someone to train up and learn about SEO, and they will happily like pay this person an hourly wage, blah, blah, blah. And I just like messaged her, and I was like, give me this person's email address. And then I literally started having the interview like within that week, and then I got hired. So this was a job I hadn't applied for. I was obviously looking, but this is the great thing about content creation, is that people can actually not just also like, talk about themselves and their brands and their experience, but they can help their friends as well, or other people they know who are looking for people, so
That's
that was another
fantastic.
opportunity.
Yeah, a question
Yeah.
I was thinking of as well was that, have you ever had a company approach you on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, we think you'd be great to hire"? Does that also happen?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. It
Nice.
happens all the time. It happens all the time, but like, I'd say like just for the sake of argument right now, like I'd say that they I haven't had any that are like, that's like kind of like connected, like executed like from me, like, oh yeah, it was great. And then I had an interview, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't say that happened, but like, yeah, I've had like people contact me and be like, oh, we've got a job here. And then I'd be like, let's say for a Japanese and English SEO consultant for PwC. And I'm like, yeah, no, my Japanese is not up to scratch, but like sometimes this does happen, that they really go by like kind of the keywords and they assume that you're great. I had one like yesterday saying, oh, we have some SEO roles, but I'm just like, SEO roles, like if you had said SEO copywriter, then yeah, but it's, so I do get loads of these messages, but sometimes sometimes they just mismatch, but it does
Okay.
happen a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, as you mentioned, directly messaging the CEO, I was wondering if you had any tips for interacting with people that you haven't met before on LinkedIn, like that CEO, to make the
The
best
best
impression.
The best impression that you can do is literally pimp out your profile, And
Okay.
I'd say that there isn't, I mean, like, of course, at the end of this, there's going to be a link, I'm sure, to my LinkedIn profile.
Yes.
So, you know, if you look on my LinkedIn profile, like I would say that I'm very proud of it. And it's because it's something that's been in the work for like, yeah, years, And I'd say it's like making sure you have a professional photo. Like I actually had a photo shoot for my profile picture on LinkedIn. I've actually got a blazer on, and I had good coloring. Like I paid someone to actually make sure it looks professional, making sure that I'm explaining like what I really do, in and summarizing the kind of clients that I work with, and then, putting bullet points for the achievements I've had for every single role that I've done, and then adding the skill sets, making sure that it's all SEO savvy. So if you're, let's say, I don't know, someone who works in research or someone who works in clinical trials or, medical journalism, put these things in as much as possible because, this is how you become visible, right? And then making sure that you do have some content. You should have some articles in there, like just explaining things like, what you do, or like 5 top reasons for X, Y, and Z, these kind of things. But also at the very end, which I feel is a bit of a neglected area, which I tell people all the time that they should do, ask for testimonials and recommendations. It's so
Great.
it's
Yeah.
there is an option actually, like underneath your profile picture, there's a section there that says ask to be recommended or recommend someone, and every time I finish like a role, I always reach out to just even the people that I worked with, like my colleagues who are on the same level. Doesn't have to be my boss, and I asked them, can you do a recommendation for me? And I will do the same for you. And it's just like it literally takes like 2-3 minutes for someone just to write something saying this person was great to work with. They helped me work on this project, la 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 la. But this is something that I've also added to my portfolio website. So there's a way where like the testimonials you have in your LinkedIn can populate to your actual portfolio website. So people can actually see if they want to work with you. They're like, okay, well, she's had some great feedback from people that she worked with at Sky or in Microsoft. They've said that she's really good. Okay, so she's not just, she is what she says she is because other people are saying great stuff. So that for me is like number one. Like, if you're going to interact with people, the first thing people are going to do, they're going to look at your profile. And if it doesn't show that you're like, a professional and it doesn't show the best of what you can give, they're not going to be interested. So I could message someone and be like, hi, my name is Mary, I'm a copywriter, and just wondering if you had any business where I can help you with any like resources or any projects that you have. And they'll just be like, they'll look at them, they're like, who's this person? They'll look at my profile, it's all there. And they'll be like,
Right.
actually, and it's the way that I said it as well. It wasn't anything too complicated. I'm not doing some salesy speech. I'm not going to say like, oh, I've increased 57% engagement rate on the website for blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing any of that. We're humans at the end of the day. Let the profile, your LinkedIn profile speak for you.
And
Use that
others
as a
speak for
tool.
you,
Let
the
that be your selling tool.
testimonials. Yeah, the testimonials will speak for
Exactly.
you. How important are
Yeah.
the posts and the articles that you mentioned that you write? Because I know there's like Medium, there's Substack, there's all the, it's a different models in each case. But I have a lot of LinkedIn friends. I've noticed they've never written articles, for example.
I I think that articles, they really do have a place. And I say this because, your profile is so paramount. And let's say for the sake of argument, this CEO that I wanted to message, they were like, okay, I want to look at this profile. They don't just look into like kind of like the surface stuff, like, okay, summary, testimonials. They'll go deep into your content and be like, what does this girl actually write? Because especially because I'm a copywriter, they need to see like how I write. They need to see evidence of that. Or let's say, you're a video editor. You need to put some content on like your videos. You need to put that on your profile as well. You need to attach those portfolios, those examples of your work. And as someone who like works in like marketing, it's really important to have articles on there. But for Medium and Substack, I have to be honest, when I think Medium is enough. When I heard about Substack, I was like, this is too much. It's too much, too much to write. Even though I know there's that place, but I was just like, let me just focus on my Medium and my LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is going to be focused primarily on the LinkedIn networks and like, audience there is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Medium's got a different type of audience, but at least immediately with LinkedIn, it's going to be a professional work. Two, people are actually coming to your profile. They're going to find those LinkedIn articles in there. So it's really important. And three, again, it's like the algorithms. They have hashtags. So people on LinkedIn just use hashtags and they can find your articles. Like they will say, how to become an amazing copywriter, and then my article come up as well as other people who are copywriters who've done articles on there, because they have that tab that says social media posts or LinkedIn articles. But interestingly enough, you talk to me about Medium you can monetize on. And the
Yeah.
great thing about Medium is that, there's different publications. And depending on which publication you want, like let's say, for example, if there was one for me that was about like just purely on copywriting, I could do that, but then I feel like I'm limiting myself just to the people who follow that publication.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? I think that Medium has changed in a long way from how it was before, and it's it's a lot more work. It depends on what your priorities are. But if you're looking for work and you want to build your brand, like in a professional sense, I'd say stick to LinkedIn articles. And social media posting, I don't think people are actually attuned to how significant and impactful they can be,
Yeah.
because I think the more I post on there, like social media posts, like, something silly, like kind of like, oh, I found this amazing like video about copywriting. I think I'd like to share it. Or I read this book recently, and I give like a couple of points, like bullet points about how amazing this book is on like learning about copywriting. Small stuff like that. This brings out visibility. It shows your passion for the industry you're working in, and it
Definitely.
looks good to employers and it looks good to recruiters, so, or people who want to network with you. Or I even get messages from people who are just students and they message me and like, hi Mary, I've seen your profile, could you give me some advice on like how to start a blog?
Yeah. I mean, clearly your profile is inspiring them, and it's a model for maybe how they could make a good brand for themselves, but they're asking where to start. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you had to like think about three of the best tips to like for LinkedIn, besides these wonderful ones you've already given us,
Yeah.
basically, do you have any more tips that we haven't covered already to
Okay.
win on
So
LinkedIn?
so definitely pimp up your LinkedIn profile. And I
Yeah,
think
number one.
the best way, I think the best way to do that, I'd say, like, this is number one, is to literally have a look on LinkedIn and then type in the industry that you're in and find out who the people are who've actually got amazing profiles anyway, because you can actually mirror that, or you can like customize it to make it your experience. So you're like, just seeing like how like the top CEOs of like, I don't know, like clinical trials or like research papers, how they do it, like, proofreading, how do
Mhm.
they do that? How do they create content? How do they convey their experience? Like, and then you can kind of like find something that's more you, and then make it yours, make it your own, and then just you can start seeing how to make your profile amazing, you know?
Great.
And I think there's also like number two, I'd say make sure that you're creating content, obviously, like see how these people are making content and see like how you can, give advice to people. Because the thing is with like LinkedIn is that it's a business hub or a professional hub, but it's also knowledge sharing. This is why
Yes.
people love LinkedIn, because of the knowledge that they're getting. It's not like Facebook or TikTok where it's just entertainment, you know? This is actually a place where people come because they want to learn. They're keen to learn and increase their knowledge about the industry. Like if you don't have time to like, always check the news on like, what's going on in the Forex or whatever. Let's say you're a trader, but you're like connected to all these traders and then, they've done their kind of research. Like, guys, did you know that something dropped this morning? La, 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 la. And they have their opinion piece on it. And then you're like, okay, let me add my comment, like this comment. So again, it's about the engagement, making sure you spend enough time a day or like in a week where you can actually show that you like something or you're sharing something or you want to comment on a post. I think this is really important as well. Again, that increases your visibility on LinkedIn and your profile, your visibility to your profile. And I'd say, job hiring. I think that, making sure that like, if you're not hiring and making use of like, posting jobs there, because so many people are on LinkedIn, if you're not going to be posting on there, that at least, use it as a place where you can actually look for new opportunities. I recently saw that someone had said on LinkedIn, you should always put your profile as open to work. So there is a status actually on LinkedIn where if you're not looking for work, you don't have this kind of halo that says open to work, right? But so what it does is like if you put open to work, it means that recruiters are like basically know that they can come in and they can approach you with different opportunities, right? Well, basically this person had said you should always be open to work, like just leave it, because you never know, you might be missing out on an opportunity,
Yeah.
And it could be even like, let's say you're a full-time worker, but there could be someone who like needs someone just for a couple of hours to do something for them, and they could really benefit from your expertise, and you can get paid for it, and you can
Yeah.
also build new networks. So I thought that was just quite interesting. So
I
yeah,
think
there's my little
I
piece
think
of advice.
another tip you gave me while we were preparing for this interview is that I thought was really
Yeah.
valuable is you said, you can go and look for these jobs and you don't have to look at it as a long-term thing. You could do a 3-month contract and learn a whole new skill, like you mentioned with SEO. And if you look at
Yeah.
it that way, maybe it's a lot less intimidating to get
Yeah.
started, and you can keep the curious mind searching around and just try. It's okay to fail. It's okay to just put something as a 3-month contract on your LinkedIn, but you're working ahead to get that next job where you can earn even more and have more
Yes.
expertise. So thanks for
Exactly.
sharing that as well
Yes.
with me.
Yeah.
Um, and
Welcome.
Mary, thank you for all of these amazing tips and experiences you've given us with LinkedIn today. I'm sure it's going to help people win on LinkedIn. We are going to put your LinkedIn profile below this description in our YouTube channel and on Digital Nomad World, the website. And if people
Yes.
want to follow you anywhere else, where can they go?
They can follow me on my Instagram, which is Mary Goes Nomad. All one word.
Love it. All right. Well, thanks again, Mary. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and keep
You
on
too.
inspiring on LinkedIn.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.